with COVID and all the things that we are tasked of doing to prepare and better our buildings during this time. And um, what before we get to our topic of today, I just want to a couple little housekeeping notes. Normally in May we have our trade show. Unfortunately, we've had to postpone it since from 2020 in May, and then we've postponed it twice, and now it probably looks like we need to postpone it again until things get a little bit better. So we will likely have our trade show, in-person trade show, next year in May. So it'll be May 2022, unless we come up with a way of doing something different in the meantime. Um, During our last executive meeting, there has been some discussion about maybe doing some more webinars because um, uh, I think and we think that they are of value to our membership, and so we're kind of looking for ideas and people that want to do topics. And so if anyone out there is interested, just get a hold of one of us, be Les Anderson or myself, Mark Arton, or anyone on the executive with Building Operators Association. You can get all of our contact info on the website, boacalgary.com. And so we are looking for, some input from out there and to see what's out there of interest. And to maybe do a couple of months or something like that. We're just, looking for ideas there. And further to that, I guess, hopefully everyone has gone to the website and paid their membership dues and all of that good kind of stuff. There are also links on there for our for the companies that sponsor us, and maybe what we'll try doing in the future is advertising the sponsors a little bit more than we have in the past, just to give them some value, and so we'll maybe do a change up and kind of work towards that. And also anyone out there that's tuning into this by YouTube and is interested in being a sponsor for the Building Operators Association, you can advertise in our monthly magazine. You can submit articles that we can print in the magazine. We just ask that the articles have the copyright rights waived so that we can publish them in the magazine. And so we're out there looking to get more information out to our membership, and that's what we'll do it, at least in the meantime, until we can again meet every month and carry on like we usually do. So it's looking like that might be a little ways off. So we'll do whatever we can to make it happen. So I'll just do some quick introductions to our speaker today. So the topic of today relates to building cleaning and best practices during the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. And I just want to say that building cleaning, use that kind of generically. We know that as operators, we're involved in all aspects of the building, and so we need to be knowledgeable of what's going on, and also we happen to do a little bit of cleaning ourselves on HVAC systems, so we got to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And so we're looking for some good practice and advice in that regard. So our speaker today is Adon Rigg. Adon is has been in the janitorial sector since 1994, where he began his career with Westclean. And since then, he has worked exclusively in the industry on in both the distribution and manufacturing sector. Adon is also the author of Insightful Selling and the owner of Janitorial Marketing Solutions, where he creates content in the form of videos, newsletters, digital marketing solutions for the cleaning industry. Maybe you can help us out, Adon, on some technical stuff. But anyway, this is all new to us. So he is also an agent for Rochester Midland Corporation, which services Western Canada. And this is also a collaboration, I guess, with two other companies. And these companies use Adon as their guru for cleaning products. And so one of our other panelists' name is Damir Ivancic. I'm sorry, Damir, I probably pronounced that incorrectly, but forgive me. Damir is the president of Clean Slate Sanitary Supplies here in Calgary, and it's also been in the industry for 22 years. Looks like Damir's career started with Westclean Equipment and Cleaning Supplies in Edmonton, so common ground with Adon. And looks like you started at the order desk. So there you go. Start at the very, I wouldn't say that the order desk is the bottom rung, but anyway, he fast tracked into sales and then started off with one territory and it grew to another and moved to Calgary 4 years later, which I guess puts that back a few years, and then became the sales manager for the Calgary branch. And did training on equipment and certain floor care programs for our branches that fell under us, or for the branches that fell under him, and also was the healthcare and education specialist for the branch. So, so with that, I guess the third bio is for Greg Shoemaker, and sorry, Greg, I've lost your bio, but I kind of know you, so I'll just kind of wing it. So Greg is the president of Clear Northern, who is a supplier of janitorial products and equipment, and also, I guess, not just janitorial, it's cleaning products. And I know that I've used Greg in the past in some of the buildings that I worked in for supplying stuff. And so I've had a good relationship with Greg for many years. And so both the Clean Slate and Clear Northern use the Rochester Midland Corporation product line that Adon's the agent for. So Adon reps the Rochester flag, and was kind enough to voluntold to be doing this little. Maybe you weren't voluntold, I don't know, but anyway, he was coerced into doing this little presentation. So so with that, I'll let Adon share the screen and we'll get into his presentation.
All right. Just so you know, Damir texted me. He's on. He's having a little technical difficulty, so I'm not sure if he's going to join as a panelist, but he'll definitely be in us watching and with us. So everyone can see my screen okay?
It looks good here.
Perfect. Okay. So I appreciate it, everybody. I just chime in as you want and just kind of go over it. So thank you very much for having me. They say that COVID-19 forced the digital transformation, and this is a great example of that being the case. All of us are learning as we adapt to the new way. But it's actually, 10 years ago we would have been hooped, but with technology now we're able to do things like this, which is it's great. It allows us at least still be connected, and it's a great alternative to the obviously in person is always a little bit more interaction. So today I'm going to talk to you about the building best practices during COVID-19 and beyond. And again, if you have any questions, just let me know. Now, I want to thank both Clean Slate, Demir with Clean Slate Supplies out of Calgary, and Rochester Midland. So I'll give you a little quick history about myself. I started in 1994. I worked in distribution for many years. Then I went off and became with manufacturing from about 2003 right up until 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I left. I was with Rochester Midland, and I wanted to pursue my own thing. And Rochester Midland was great enough to allow me to leave and be an agent for them, which I still am. And then, of course, I have my own company, Janitorial Marketing Solutions. So thank you for you guys having me, and Demir inviting me as well. So I appreciate that. Today, I want to talk to you guys about 3 basic things when it comes to buildings and cleanliness and doing it now and beyond COVID-19. The thing is programs, products, and procedures. When I first started with West Clean, I had an old sales manager, passed away many years ago now. And as he was teaching me, he'd always say, it's procedure over product, procedure over product. Even though we sold products, and I do sell products, so much is dependent on procedures more than products. And products play an important role. But if we're not following procedures properly, it all falls. So I'm going to kind of go over that a little bit today with you guys and what that looks like. So those are 3 things we're going to talk about today. And so the program. So this kind of comes from some of my training material. I've kind of condensed it down greatly. But one of the greatest lessons in my life was when I left a major manufacturer, and I was the green guy for Canada. There was 2 of us, but I was one of the main green guys. And I got shipped off to the States and did some training under Steve Ashkin, who wrote Green Housekeeping for Dummies, the Ashkin Group. Most people in the industry know of him or have heard of him. And I got a position with Rochester Midland, and me and my ego thought I knew everything, that I didn't study for the exam. And I failed the exam. So my then boss, Paul Wolfer, said, you failed. And I was humming apart from where I started to embrace it even further and recognize, what did I not know? Because going to Rochester, I was open up to a whole new world on technologies and concepts, and a company that actually lived it. So a lot of what I come to you with today and stuff are things I learned in my travels, but a lot of it is with Rochester Midland, and particularly Paul Wolfrey in particular, who was taught by Steve Ashkin. So wanted to really emphasize the importance of having a program in place and what that means. So there's 3 things that we in the cleaning business are actually doing, right? It's easy to forget. We go in and we're cleaning. But the 3 things we're actually trying to get rid of or eliminate is particulate, which is a nice word for dirt, VOCs, and biological. Now, there's a lot of emphasis right now on biological, but before COVID, it wasn't as much as a forefront. We know we needed to disinfect and stuff, moisture control, things like that. But it really was more, the particulate. And because of COVID and because of many people like Steve Ashkin and stuff over the years, there is a rise and a more acceptance and acknowledgement of the importance of cleaning for health. And one of my customers actually just saved the name with Google, cleaning for the health of it. And just cleaning for health is so much more important than cleaning for appearance. I'll give you a quick example of what I mean. It was about a year ago now, I believe it was January of last year. I was heading into a hair salon, a barber, and they're up on the second floor. And I walk in, and it's just an office building with no offices. You just go to the elevator. And as I walk in, it smells like a potent, like very high odor of pine. And so I pull up my cell phone and I do a LinkedIn Live, and I'm talking about the importance of cleaning for health and how we think smell and fragrance means a clean building and how it doesn't, which I'll get into in a minute. I had no sooner ended my LinkedIn Live that I was in front of the elevator, that a lady walked in coming into the building as well. And she hadn't made 10 steps, and she smelt it, and she said, "Boy, do I wish my house smelled like this." And so that's kind of the issue in the cleaning industry that we face ourselves with right now. Many building owners and building owners and cleaning companies want a nice, clean smelling facility, because the customer associates clean with smelling clean, such as pine or bleach or Febreze air fresheners, these type of things. And it makes us proud that we've done a good job. When that lady walks in, she smells the pine, she does a great job. She feels like she's done a great job, and people that pay her feel that the job is getting done. But what I want to get you to get out of this today is that is a real issue. Odors, particulate, all of it's a real issue, but the VOCs, the smells that are emanating from buildings, really have a huge impact. Same with particulate and same biological, and they're all equal as far as what they mean and do to human health. So really want you to, if there's any takeaway today, it's that. So what does it mean to have poor indoor air quality? What does it mean to have dirt in a facility, odors in a facility? What does it do? Well, this is a snapshot of what it does. And this is not my data. This is strong data. Anyone ever wants to reach out to me, I can give them the sources. Some of this data reaches back from the early 1990s and some more recent. But the poor indoor air quality causes things like headaches, dizziness, nausea, dry cough, sore throat, lack of concentration, eye irritation, fatigue, oversensitivity, and dry or itchy skin. Now, those are the effects. What is the cause? And that is where it really starts to get alarming of what these three evils, biological, particulate, and VOCs or odors, can do to us and human health. So the causes are infectious disease. So, what are we doing right now? We're disinfecting like crazy to make sure no one's getting COVID. But outside of COVID, we're doing this to get rid of athlete's feet, to get rid of HIV, get rid of different microorganisms, cause disease, cause colds, that cause the flu. And so the cleaning that we do, this is what we're really doing, right? When we clean, COVID or not, we're trying to eliminate infectious disease. We're trying to eliminate asthma. We're trying to eliminate lower productivity. Professional cleaning can improve productivity of employees and of students or anyone that's in that building. On the extreme low end is 2%. And that's universally agreed upon. On the maximum end, it's 18%. So productivity by having a healthy building, not just a clean building, but a healthy building, cleaned properly, ventilation, things like this have a real impact on us. Building-related illnesses, increased absenteeism, sinusitis, learning problems, which I'll get into in a quick sec, and a thing called the sick building syndrome. So those are some of the causes. But the one thing I want to really show you, I think you're going to find interesting, is this is a recent study. It's about 4 or 5 years old now. And they studied, and I first found this out through Harvard. It's the link to the infographic here. But in the synopsis of what this infographic is telling you is they studied 24 participants over 6 days and 2 weeks. And they cleaned professionally. Their terminology is green cleaning. But green cleaning is just another word for sustainable cleaning or professional cleaning, cleaning professionally, as I talk about. The difference in 6 days of professional cleaning in a building was a 61% improvement in cognitive function of employees, patrons, students. 2 weeks of professional cleaning in the building gave 101% improvement in cognitive function. So the ability of our students, our children to think, their math scores, their reading scores increased by 47, 26% just on having healthy, clean buildings. And that's strong data that's been out for over 25 years now. So what we do in the cleaning industry is imperative to human health. And the benefit of that is when we have healthy students, healthy employees, they think better, they're more productive, they respond better. Healthy buildings reduce sick days by I think it's 26%. And so that means reducing costs of having substitute teachers or other employees taking on extra workloads. So there's a lot of things that aren't recognized in the world or even within the cleaning industry with what we do. And so this is a little blurb from that report, which I put into center of the infographic for the purpose of today, but I don't know if you can see that, but cognitive function scores were better in green building conditions compared to conventional building conditions across 9 functional domains, including crisis response, strategy, and focused activity level. If you can get this anywhere, you just go 61% improvement in buildings, you'll get the link to this and all that. On average, cognitive scores were 61% higher in green building conditions, 101% in enhanced green building conditions. So what enhanced was they basically went longer than 6 days, they went 2 weeks, and you can find that out. And so that's what I'm really passionate about. From someone that started in this industry as a young guy that just wanted to have some beer money to raising a family, and that I wouldn't have been in this industry almost into my 50s if I didn't recognize, particularly in the early 2000s, but definitely when I came to Rochester, on exactly what we do in the cleaning business and how we impact human health. And it gave me a renewed purpose and an excitement of being in the industry as opposed to putting more product on more shelves. So now, one of the ways that we do this, one of the ways that we deliver these results is rather than coming in and saying, hey, how you doing? We're here to sell you some cleaning supplies, or we're here to clean your facility, and we'll do it cheaper, better, is we do a survey. And when you do a survey, when you walk into a building, we need to look at it like a doctor would look at me if I walked into the doctor's office. Right? I recently went for some high blood pressure, and they didn't just say, oh, you got high blood pressure, here's a pill, goodbye. They put me on a treadmill, I ran, they tested me, they had blood tests, all these things. And then once they had information, they gave me a prescription that helped me on the road to get better health. And that's what professional cleaning companies such as Clean Slate do. We don't just sit back and say, hey, we want to sell you. It's like, well, let's look at your building. Like just small things like, are the flower beds as you walk in, are they protected? Those little fence things, can't even remember what they're called, right? As the students run across in a school, they're taking that dirt, bringing it into the center. As we're walking in, what kind of matting is there? Is that matting? Because we want to get rid of the dirt before it comes into the building. So that's what a survey does. But just a quick little example of a survey I did many years ago, and this is just the only picture I'm going to show you for this presentation, but what would this show me? That would show me that I get poor indoor air quality when the custodians are burnishing because we're having a powdering issue. So the question isn't, what am I going to clean better, or what products do I have that I can sell you cheaper? It's like, let's get rid of this. This is the cause, because this is causing cognitive functions. This is causing bad breathing. This is causing you to use more floor finish and put more labor into your floor care, those type of things. So when we talk about procedures, really start with doing a survey and looking at your building from the outside in. As a doctor would ask you questions, you look and you find, okay, you're doing everything great. Or here's some ways you can tweak to get those outcomes of a 61% improvement, improved cognitive function, or the better math scores of, I think it's 46%, 26% in reading. Reduce doctor visits by 27%. In Canada, we're really lucky, right? In Canada, as an example, in a school system, if you have 200 students and 100 students are sick that day because they got the cold or whatever, the schools still get the funding. Somewhere like the United States, as an example, if those 100 students are gone, half their funding's gone for those period of days that they're sick. So that can really impact the whole budget of a school. And so having students that are healthy and vibrant and not sick has a real impact in the bottom line in somewhere like that. So that's the procedures way, right? That having procedures, understanding what we're actually after. We're after dirt, we're after odors, and we're after microorganisms. A lot of the stuff we can't see, right? A lot of time we're cleaning clean, but we have to recognize that we're cleaning these invisible microorganisms, just like we're fighting right now with COVID-19. We're fighting an invisible enemy. And the procedures that we do are imperative. All of us in this industry have known for years, wash your hands regularly, wear gloves, a lot of people, this is new to them. They never thought about it, right? I'm very interested to see after this how handshaking as a custom, whether or not that changes. So products. So when we start looking at products, what do you want to look at? One of the things that really you want to look at is the products you're using third-party certified? Now, there is a thing out there called greenwashing. There's a lot of BS out there as our products are green, this product is green, with these BS made up labels that prey upon people that don't know better. So I would highly recommend you follow one of these three logos, certification bodies, because they're going to ensure that the products you use meet your requirements that are going to give you the outcomes we're talking about, or help you get the outcomes we're talking about. So one is Green Seal. A lot of people know that name. That's a US-based certification body. And as far as certification goes, they're okay. They're a certification, but they're not as strict as Eco-Logo, which is the next one. So a lot of manufacturers, like at Rochester Midland, as an example, all of our products are going to be Eco-Logoed. They might be green sealed because people want them green sealed, but Eco-Logo is a very much stricter certification process. It started off as a Canadian, by the Canadian government, founded in 1988, but it was about 5 years ago, it became a global brand under the UL. So it's a very strict and cheaper body of certifying your products. And those are the two ones that most people know about. And Eco-Logo or Green Seal is product related or product focused. The one that's really going to be the one of the future, I believe, and a lot of products are now getting Green Guard certified. Sorry. What's that? Green Guard certified. Now, what's Green Guard? Green Guard is more not product focused, it's VOC focused. It's the off-gassings, the odors, the impact it has on human health. And so, like, as an example, if you're getting Green Guard certified, they're looking at the varnish that's on my desk here, as an example. What's on that desk and in that that coating, and how is it going to impact me? And so the reason why Green Guard is so good is it's not product focused. It's not if you have enough money to pay for it to get certified. It's what's the impact on human health. And so Green Guard is newer. I'm not sure how old it is, maybe 10 years. But more and more products are being Green Guard certified, including Eco-Logo and or Green Seal. But I'd encourage you to look at Green Guard because it's not product focused, it's human health focused. Quickly, when you're talking about products, you want to look at three categories: I always try to remember the 4 specific categories, SPEC. I always like acronyms, not that we need any more in the world. But sanitation, paper, equipment, and chemicals. Those are the 4 primary categories. So when you're looking at products, you're looking at products that are certified in Green Guard, Green Seal, or Eco Logo. And that's your best bet. And those are the 4 primary categories you want to look at. You know, sanitation, when we say sanitation, we're talking about garbage bags, brushes, brooms, mops, floor pads. When we're talking about paper, we're talking about towels and tissue. Vacuums, we're talking about, you know, equipment, we're talking about vacuums, scrubbers, polishers, extractors. And of course, when you get to chemicals, we're talking about disinfectants, strippers, you know, chemicals, and it looks at everything. We're looking at the energy consumption of equipment, the wattage. All these things play a role on the impact of a building and or the cost, right? The cost of drawing the energy, what have you. But very quickly, just want to give you a quick analogy of why chemicals, because I am a chemical guy, I work for chemical manufacturing for most of my life, why it's important. So when I first started in this industry, I'd walk in and I'd say, hey, what are you using? And someone would say, oh, I'm using XYZ degreaser. And I would say, oh yeah, I have a degreaser too. And they would say to me, oh, well, I'll try it and let me see if it's better. If they liked it as much, they would say to me, what's your price? And I'd give them a price and I'd get the business or I didn't. But as I started to become entrenched in the industry and make it part of my identity and focus more on human health, I started to recognize the importance of human health. So when you get a product that's Eco Logo or Green Seal certified, there's one thing that's important to recognize that you're not going to know. What that means is those products, in most circumstances, not every time, so you have to check it out, fall in between a pH of 4 and a pH of 10. And the reason why that's important is if you take a 4 and you take a 10 and you mix them together, you get no chemical reactivity. Okay, so if that product was a 3 and you mixed an 11, a 3 and 11, you get chemical reactivity. So at the end of the day, sustainable cleaning, green cleaning, in my opinion, comes down to one major thing. That is reduction. We're about reducing the risk that we have on the people, planet, and profits of organizations. And that 3-pillar approach you've all heard of, I'm sure. And so we're talking about reducing the risk to people when we're looking at recommending products and or programs. So let me give you an example. Instead, once I started to learn this, I'd walk in and ask a customer, you know, what degreaser are you using? They would say, I'm using this degreaser. And 9 times out of 10, that degreaser would be 12 or a 13 pH. So I would have them test a product that's a 10. Assuming they liked the product, and 9 times out of 10 they did, the question wasn't price, and it's not price. The question is, well, that my product is a 10, you're using a 13. You'll see on this slide here, 10, you know, we're talking about the power of 10. That means that product is 1,000 times safer on the human health of your employees, of students. And so recognizing the products you're using, it really boils down to the risk that's associated. And I could go on for another half hour about, you know, accidentally consuming a product or what have you, and reducing that risk, eliminating that risk. But at the end of the day, we're trying to reduce the risk, and by using products that fall in those categories, you're going to reduce the risk just without even have to investigate. Just you know, selling a sustainable product at a pH of 10 is going to be 1,000 times safer than the average degreaser that someone's using in the marketplace right now. And a degreaser is anywhere between 12 and 13 for sure. So you're greatly reducing the risk, even if you don't know what the pH of your product is. So that's the product side. And then it comes down to procedures. And procedures are very important. As I said, when I first started, the sales trainer I had, his name was John Watt. He used to work in in Edmonton. I'm not sure if he worked in Calgary, but he really taught me well in the early 90s there. He used to always say to me, it's procedure over product, and just really beat that into me and how important it is to have proper procedures. And so just winding down to the end here, one of the things you want to do is you want to have a body of people that take ownership in the building on making sure that you're delivering those outcomes. And of course, evaluating, which I talked about the survey, but training is so important. In the building service industry, as an example, the average building service contractor has over a 300% turnover rate. And when we're turning people over, we're educating them very, very limited training. We're getting them SDS certified, what have you. They're out. We need to emphasize on training, and with all the digital tools available now online, we can do that very cost effectively, very cheaply, and on someone's own phone. So just having a system in place that makes sure that you're delivering these results and you're checking what gets managed gets done, right? The old management philosophy there. But if we take a look at the procedures of a bathroom as an example, there's some things that you really want to take a look at, especially in the age of COVID, right? Number one is, it wasn't really part of the conversation I was going to have today, but what is a high touch object, right? And how often should we clean? So every building is different, right? If I go into a office building, downtown Vancouver, as an example, I might have a higher capacity and usage rate than I would if I had a building in a suburb. And so that elevator button might need to be cleaned and disinfected more in that setting in Vancouver than in the suburbs. So we want to recognize that we're in an age of COVID and that, but we also want to be smart. We only have so many resources. And so utilizing and cleaning based on usage, based on time. So, the light switches, the vending machines, all that, do they need to be disinfected 10 to 15 times a day? Perhaps, but probably not. Probably have a higher usage rate at 9 in the morning as people are coming to work, at lunchtime, and and other areas around evening. So we can manage kind of time effect and but the one thing I want to talk to you about, you'll see I have highlighted here, is dwell time. And one of the things that's really come to the forefront lately is dwell time. I was dealing with a major school board just today on dwell time, right? They've been using the disinfectant for 10 years, but the dwell time for COVID right now is 10 minutes. There's other ones out there now that are 60 seconds. But there is always, usually a positive to a negative. So make sure you're using the proper disinfectant for your environment. So as an example, if you're cleaning at night and there's no one around, maybe you're in a restaurant as an example, or maybe you're cleaning a school and you're cleaning the desks, having a disinfectant that's a lot safer to use on surfaces and has a 10-minute kill time to kill COVID is fine. No one's in the building, you spray, you apply the product, and it gives that time to work. But that's not going to work for a bank teller who is, dealing with money and people all day. They don't have 10 minutes, they need that 60 seconds, right? So recognize that environment and what you're cleaning and how you're cleaning is so important. Because one of the things I see going on right now is a lot of frightened people. I get it. But they don't know what they're doing, and they are just misusing disinfectants like you would not believe. I am not exaggerating when I say I was at the grocery store about a month ago, and a gentleman had the spray bottle that was supplied there and probably squeezed the handle on the cart, this trigger sprayer, probably at least 15 to 20 times. We know once would work, but the atomization that was going on was doing more damage than probably on the contaminants on that surface. So recognize that overusing products, using it too strong, too much, has a negative consequence as well. Want to use a disinfectant according to label instructions, and that's it. Don't use it more. It could really, really cost you from a health perspective, but also from an asset perspective by damaging surfaces, streaking surfaces, things like that. The other thing is just make sure that I've kind of covered this, but make sure you're disinfecting high touch surfaces on a daily basis, but based on the usage of the building. We don't need to be run around frightened. We just have to be professional in what we're doing and recognize that, between 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., we need to spend a little more time in this area, but we're okay between 10 and 11 or whatever it might be. Just recognizing, because I see a lot of people panicking and putting demands on cleaners that are not going to get met, right? They might be saying they want them to disinfect all surfaces all day, but there's a cost involved as well. So just recognize that there's lots of things we can do to protect. For those of you that purchase your supplies from a supplier like a Clean Slate or someone like that, there are a lot of people, Rochester Midland, but others as well, that have a lot of absolutely fantastic tools for you to go to. So this is on the front page for free of the Rochester Midland website as an example. It's just a checklist of all different areas. I just put one here, but all different areas from washrooms to bathrooms, just to what to look for, what to disinfect. A lot of free information. Rely on the manufacturers, rely on your distributors to give you the information, to give you the standard operating procedures, to give you the training, to give you the information, because that's what they're there for. They're there to sell product, yes, but their main purpose is to educate and make sure you're using products, whether that's theirs or not, properly. And any good distributor is going to make sure that you have the proper information regardless of whether you're using their products or not. And finally, last slide here, it really comes down to when you're cleaning for health, you're cleaning, professional cleaning really comes down to risk reduction. That's what we do. We reduce the risk to human health. We reduce the risk to the planet. And those two things have financial implications on an organization. And organizations aren't going to embrace sustainability, not going to embrace these things if it hurts their bottom line. And the nice thing is that this stuff, these concepts, these processes, these products absolutely play a positive on the financial viability of an organization. Just think of them using products that don't harm employees as much, so they have less sick days. Just think what that one thing does to the organization. What someone coming in thinking clearer and more bright and more alive, what that means to the productivity of the day. So these things all have real tangible benefits, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to risk reduction. And I hope if you have a takeaway, that's what you really take away with is that we can reduce the risk by having professionally clean buildings now in the time of COVID and moving into and post-COVID. I'll stop sharing my screen now and pass that off.
Well, thank you very much, Aidan, for a nice little chat there. Maybe a couple of questions that come to mind, and you've sort of covered this, but so how would you say that cleaning practices have changed since COVID hit us last February, March? Everybody went into that very intensive cleaning mode, but does anything come to mind where it's been a significant change, or has it just been the same thing over and over again?
Well, I really feel bad for the building service contractors because there's a lot of people wanting, being more focused on the cleaning and stuff, but they don't want to pay for it. And that's really sad. and I have a friend that's owns a company in Rochester, New York, and they don't want to pay for it. They're willing to leave still on price. So we still have a long way to go on people recognizing the value of cleaning. One of the pauses so far the last year is definitely the recognition of cleaning more thoroughly, and hand washing. But I even take myself in my building here where my office is. I've been here since August. I've seen a cleaner one evening. I'm sure they're here. They'll come once a week, whatever they do. But you know what? There's 20, 30 people using the bathroom every day. They're not cleaning every day, right? And why aren't they cleaning every day? Because they don't want to invest in that. And that's sad. So do I have the precautions and have my own things to use? Absolutely. But not everyone does or even is aware of it. So there's definitely been an awareness from the end user on cleanliness, but I still see a lot of people that pay the bills that don't have the funds to increase it. And that's why I'm trying to say that, you know what, we don't have to increase cleaning by 1,000%. We can just be smarter about where we're cleaning and when we're cleaning and what areas and what times, like I mentioned, just a little easy one is the elevator lights, elevator buttons, right? They don't need to be cleaned right now. The office is closed, right? But it needs to be cleaned for tomorrow morning and probably lunchtime when everyone's going up and down for lunch.
So one of the things as building operators, that obviously we have to change filters in air handling units. Perhaps those filters are contaminated. We don't know. So we have to take precautions thereof. And like everyone wears PPE, but I think it's an awareness thing again that you got to remember that you're working in a confined space. And if you're using, a diluted bleach or whatever it is you're using, it can have it absorbs into your skin. There's effects that it has. So where would I go as an operator to find out more about what products are safer for me to use? What's my immediate resource there? That's my question.
Well, you could definitely go in and talk to your distributor, but it really depends on your distributor. Sometimes there's a blind leading the blind. So check your sources. I'll never forget going to a place that cleans bathrooms on a regular basis. Okay, this is many years ago now, and that's what they do. They go to restaurants and they clean bathrooms once a week or whatever they do. And as I'm making the call, this guy is telling me that they use a disinfectant that seals in the germs for 7 days. And I didn't even bother. He was obviously told by his bosses he was new. I'm like, are you serious? But people are playing users, right? And they're relying on the professionalism of that organization. So, pick someone that when you talk to them, it's clear they know what they're talking about. When you know what someone you're talking about. I'll never forget going to a bank one time and sitting down with my wife and asking a question. And the lady said something, got up and left. And my wife looked at me and said, "The blind leading the blind." She knew nothing. I was like, I'm not, if someone has that knowledge. And if they don't have it, that's okay. But they're not going to sit there and give you a BS answer. They're going to go find that for you. It's okay to not know, but so you find a good distributor, manufacturer, someone that has the information or will get you the information. To just recognize that there's a lot of blind leading the blind.
So we all deal with perceptions, and with a building, you sort of mentioned this. What is a person's perception when you step into a lobby of a building, or it could be any kind of a facility? So what is the perception? Is there anything that the industry is doing as a something that says, it's like a sticker on the front door kind of thing that tells everyone that this building their cleaning practices follow a certain standard, or so what can we do to give people the perception, even if, so say if you're doing all of these things the right way, how can that be recognized?
It's a good question. And I went through that one slide with you on implementing the system. But if you ever talk to someone that runs like a university, okay, the biggest thorn in their side is usually the freshman student, right? They're on fire. What are you using, right? They're coming up to the house. What are you using? What are you spraying into the air? And half the time these people are like, I don't know. Talk to, right? It's communication, and having posters on the wall, newsletters, flyers. I mean, just having a communication that's going to notify and educate people. It could be as simple as a poster. It could be as simple as being part of going to the principal as an example of your school and saying, can we be part of the newsletter and let the parents know what we're doing, what have you. People like to, be preemptive, right? Recognize what people are probably thinking and do what can you do to nullify that. At the same time, one of my greatest failures ever in selling supplies was reducing a major retail's cost by $500,000 a year on the floor finish they put in. And their floor finish was shiny, but it wasn't as shiny. To me, it was fantastic. And to them, it was great. But the store managers that think that shiny floors sell food absolutely flipped. And then all of a sudden, they're looking at all the dirt in the corners and all this stuff. And it was a nightmare. And we're saving $500,000 on that one, but the pain. And so my point being with that is, people are drawn to the appearance. And we want to have that and make sure it's that. But if they don't see shiny floors or they don't smell, fragrances in the air, they're going to be drawn to the negatives unless you do a preemptive strike. Unless you have this building is green cleaned, no fragrance free, or whatever it might be, and someone goes, oh, okay. But if they're it's communication. And each facility is going to be different, but you have to communicate to the person walking in, whether or not it's the student, the parents, or the regular customer.
Well, obviously, cleaning products are a major part of the green, building green movement, and a critical part, and because of the VOCs and all of that, and I know through BOA and stuff like that buildings get. They have programs for accreditation of buildings. So I just wondered if there was anything in the cleaning industry, but I guess not as such.
Well, there isn't a new program. It's a pilot program through the U.S. Green Building Council at LEED. And it's just really in its infancy. And it's rather than trying to tell everyone through the products we sell that we can give you all these points for LEED, it's just 1 point. If you do these things, these 5 steps, you get this 1 point. And so I think the industry is waking up and realizing that, in order to spread the message more of what we're talking about today is smaller steps, right? Smaller steps on what you can do, what the average company can do, rather than walk in saying, hey, we're going to give you a complete sustainability program. They can come in and say, hey, we can get you this 1 point by doing these 5 simple little steps. So you're seeing that just coming out with Green Building LEED, which is Canadian Green Building is part of it. So.
Mark, if you don't mind, I could step in here. One of the things that I've noticed that has changed quite a bit in the last 5 years is that everybody wants to save money. Managers want to save money. And what they've done is made this progress from cleaning at night, which was typically historically the way it was done, to going to day cleaning because they can save money. And when I was looking at your program and your slides, this dwell time, you said from 10 minutes to 60 seconds for this product to be on that surface to do a good job. Well, day cleaning, the whole feat of it was having less people to do more work over a shorter period of time. So if that product had to be on there for 10 minutes in a washroom, let's say if that product was for that, there's not many places where a custodian is going to have the time to sit 10 minutes waiting for that product to do its job. And so it's probably their best advice would be to consult with the custodian. Managers should be consulting with the product suppliers so that they have the product that will do that job in the shortest amount of time with the least amount. I know that when I do some work on a product and it says me I should fill up a 1 liter per 100 gallons. That's the ratio. Well, if I think that if I put in 2 liters, it's going to do twice as good a job. Well, the first thing you're doing is you're adding product that doesn't need to be there. You're costing money. And so training to the operators to make sure, and to the custodians, that you're using the right amount of product. Just because a little is good, a lot is better, that's not necessarily the case. It's good for the people that sell you the chemicals, but it's not doing a better job or a worse job. It's just not doing the correct job. I think the custodians need to apportion out their products. They have to be trained in how they distribute it, how they mix their products, because they usually comes concentrated, and that they also in the safety data sheet will tell you how long that product has to be on that surface to work. And the managers have to be able to allow them the time for that product to work. If it is 60 seconds, well, then they should be waiting 60 seconds, not 10 seconds. And for that product to work, because you're not getting a thorough cleaning job. I really liked your slides. They were very informative. That dwell time really got me on there and talking about the procedures when we clean.
Well, I appreciate that, and you're absolutely right. You know, I'm actually writing on the notes here on a piece of paper, but on the front side here is a video I did on LinkedIn today, and I don't know who this fellow is, but I wanted to make sure that when I did my video today, I was articulating proper information, which what I thought I knew, and I did. But his name is Mark Warner, so it's on quat ppm, parts per million.
Yeah.
So if you take someone like me, right? We're talking about dilution rates. We are kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna have a vodka and Coke. Yeah, a little more is nice, right? And it's the same mentality of using this of the products. The problem with that is that when you get to a disinfectant, as an example, which my video was talking about today, you have the parts per million, right? You have your cleaning power. And so let's say you use a mop bucket. How many square feet, you put that mop back in the mop bucket and pull it out and do how many square feet can you do before that disinfectant's no longer good?
Yeah.
So the average disinfectant, you can do easy mathematical equation to find out what your parts per million is. But common logic would tell you or me, well, it's 600 parts per million. If I do, well, I'm just going to make it 1,200 parts per million. I'm just going to add more product. But the problem with that, as I talked about in the video, is now you're going to have sticky floors, residue on the tabletops. You're going to have, all these issues. So using according to label there's a reason for it. And I can tell you right now, we don't want you misusing our product. We don't want you using more of our product than necessary, because you're going to come to me and say, oh, your product's streaky. Well, no, we use too much. But when it comes to dwell time, we all know no one lets it sit for 10 minutes, but they're cleaning through the day. And what we're talking about, you want to let it apply as much as possible. But what we're just trying to do is keep that count low, right? Like we're trying not, 1 bacteria becomes 2, 2 becomes 4. We're just trying to keep it low. And so we're really, even though we're disinfecting, most of the time, if it's clean during the day, we're really sanitizing because we're not allowing the time. But we're keeping that we're trying to keep the count down, the count low. So that's really what we're doing.
Yeah, so it might be that just maybe the building managers have to rethink the value of day cleaning as opposed to night cleaning. And so then you have no people walking across your floors for 10 minutes. If they're looking for thorough cleaning floors based on a warranty on the product, maybe they have to change for their operation as well. We all have to give a little bit.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and benefits to day cleaning. And
Yeah.
there's obviously negatives. You know, you can't do as thorough with a clean. I mean, how many times have you been into a mall and you want to use the washroom, they're closed off, you're like, hurry up, right? So at nighttime, no one's waiting to get in the building. So that now, you know, so we're putting pressure on that cleaner to get out so we can use the bathroom. So there's pros and cons to it. I mean, definitely you can use less lighting and less electricity costs, but there's a human health component as well. Definitely has to be taken into account.
Yeah, we talk about sick building syndrome, and that little slide 10 where you had that floor polisher, it was all white. What was that white? Was it dust or what was on that floor polisher?
So yeah, it was from a school where I actually did a facility audit. Actually tell you the story that was a school. Oh, it's got to be 12, 13 years ago now, where I entrenched myself when I failed that exam. So I went and did one of those, and he was so impressed with it. It was a school. He took it to a superintendent, and but I just phoned him as a favor. It's like, can I do that on that particular slide? That was that the floor finish isn't adhering to the floor properly, or the pad is too aggressive. In that case, it wasn't adhering properly, and it's powdering off. And so, of course, that's going into the air, but also you're in the finish on your floor. So there's a component in there. Procedure, you know, maybe they didn't apply it properly, didn't floor neutralize properly. Maybe they're using too much of an aggressive pad. In that case, quite frankly, it was I know exactly what it was. They decided to go with a $60 pail floor finish rather than pay for quality, and they end up, you know, that's what they got.
Yeah, so I think it's very important that we do some competency-based training on that area so that the people that are doing it based on the manufacturer. I agree that probably the product has been approved by the Canada Green Building Council, has looked at it, CSA has looked at it. So always the problem is the application. And we want to make sure that the people that are applying it are using it correctly with the right volume, the right strengths, the right time period, dwell time. I think that's mostly where managers need to do. They got to rethink their strategies maybe a little bit to make sure that the people that are in their facilities are going to remain safe, because we're cleaning it the proper way, not just the fastest way.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of variables, right? Everyone doing the job wants to do a good job, but you know, I'll never forget what Gary Vaynerchuk says. He's talking about something else, but he goes, you know, how much do you want a $10 an hour person to care?
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
We don't want a 3 dressed up as a 9 either.
Right. So we want to educate, but brings me back to, can't do it now, but I mean, all manufacturers do as well. But there are so many tools available now that even a lot of distributors don't know about, that manufacturers like us have created to try to get your business over and above just good products. And these are all things where you can log on, and, you know, an employee is going to ask a manager twice on average, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Okay. But it takes the average person 5 to 6 times to learn it. So you've got a 2 or 3 times that someone's asking gap. I asked that already. I'm going to feel silly. I don't want my boss to be mad at me. So you know that's the issue. So create something, get something, give them something. They don't have to ask that question. So as an example, for us, we have this thing called RM City. It's like do it on your phone, and it's a city, and it says, you know, there's a mall, there's a hospital. You click the mall, goes into the mall. Then there's the bathroom, the floors. You click the bathroom, goes into the bathroom. And then it shows all the different areas, and it says, okay, oh, there's the hand dryer. What should I use to clean that? Click the hand dryer. Right, there's a video. All manufacturers have something like that, but it's not being used enough. Yeah. I think that with COVID and stuff now, there's probably be a more emphasis on using digital tools, because we're becoming more digital. We're having to be.
I agree.
We're just probably coming up a little bit over time, but not bad. I have one last question, and this is one that I was talking to Greg about the other day, because you know, when it comes to cleaning stuff, I'm not an expert by any means. But what is a fogger, and is that something that's just smoke and mirrors, or does that have value, or what is that?
So I'm not an expert on fogging. I'm in the chemical business, but I have a friend. Her name is Heidi Wilcox, and she is the green cleaning microbiologist. Like, she's the lady, and she advocates two main things: hypochloric acid for disinfectant, which I don't sell, and fogger sprayers. So they work good. They work good. I mean, I'm not an expert on them. They work good. They spread it out, but you have to watch what you're using, because just being completely candid, about 6 months ago, I was at one of my distributors in British Columbia, and he had one in the showroom, and he was spraying it, and he was showing me how, and he was all excited. I just sold 7 of these at $700 each, right? And I'm like, oh, that's great. And I can see these little droplets going on the floor, which is going to create slip and fall issues. And I look at him and I go, I can feel it in my throat. And he looks at me with a smile and goes, no, you can't. Like, yeah, I can.
Little is good, a lot is better.
Right. So I'm not an expert, but there are differences between foggers and sprayers. And if you ever wanted to have Heidi Wilcox on, microbiologist is going to go, a very, very knowledgeable lady. She works with a lot of companies. She's created a lot of programs for ISSA and stuff. And she'd be more than happy to do this at some point. I can guarantee you. She'll be upset better than me.
Well, that's great. Unfortunately, I again apologize that we couldn't get Demir on, but we never got a chance to meet Demir. But maybe there's always another opportunity. And Greg Shoemaker, you've been sort of a fly in the wall, which is okay too. But we've had, for one reason or another, who knows, not too many questions. So other than the ones that Les and I were balmy with, but I'm sure there'll be more. So maybe. What's the best way to get in touch with you guys? If there's anybody has any further questions,
well, I would encourage you to, the easiest way is, number one is, unless you see my name there, no one can find me on the internet because they don't think you spell Aiden, A-D-O-N. So they're going A-I-D-A, and I can't find you. So the easiest way to find me is through Demir at Clean Slate. I mean, or you see my name, you can search me up, but at Clean Slate, Demir and I talk on a weekly basis at least. Demir is very knowledgeable and a lot more knowledgeable than me in other categories. I'm probably a little maybe stronger or as strong in chemicals, but equipment, all that stuff. He's in that industry. He's entrenched in it, and I'm not just saying this because he's my buddy, and I'm not just saying this because he's my distributor. He's in the top percentile as knowledgeable people that absolutely wants to make sure that you're successful, whether or not you're buying his stuff or not, because he knows down the road eventually you're going to do business with him if he gives you good service and knowledge. So
well, thanks. That obviously a go-to guy.
Yeah, he absolutely is, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And he has all the resources. So he not just has me, he's got all the other people. So if he doesn't know, or he's got all these resources, he can make a phone call or a text and he has an answer in a few minutes.
Okay, well, I'll thank you very much, Aiden. I guess we'll just wrap up this little webinar. Any final thoughts, Les, on?
Other than that, if you guys have any product or any information bulletins that you would like to share with the building operators, articles that you own that we could print again, that would be good. Education of the building operators and the property managers is our goals and objectives, and we can print them on our website as well as our magazine.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. I will forward some stuff to Demir, and he can forward it to you because I don't have your contact information, but I'll give it to Demir.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Aiden. That was awesome.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Aiden.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Well, there's Greg.
There's Greg. Thanks, Mark. Thanks
Yeah.
for the invitation. We appreciate being part of this.
Yeah, and then hopefully we'll see you in other webinars, and then one day, we'll actually, when we get the opportunity to have a meeting again, maybe
Right.
next year, then we can always get together. That'll be good.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, everybody, I'm
Thank
gonna leave
you
now.
very
Thank
much.
you.
All right.
And
See you.
thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye for now.